As Chief Faculty Marshal, I now declare this commencement officially open. The ceremony will be officiated by W. Taylor Reevely IV, the 26th President of Longwood University. Please remain standing for the national anthem, sung by Brianna Phoenix, and the posting of the colors by the ROTC Color Guard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may post the colors. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose, a year of pandemic disruption, a year that will echo in history, has taken so much from all of us. It makes it that much more joyous to be joined together now to celebrate, enjoy a ceremonial moment of pomp and achievement here on this beautiful spring evening, actually pitch perfect in this beautiful setting, in this place that we love, our ancient university. Now, at our 182-year-old institution, this is a proud tradition, this graduate ceremony. We celebrate the hard work that has led you to this culminating moment, and we celebrate what lies ahead. Great adventures, meaningful challenges, as you take what you have learned here at Longwood and put it to great good use. Longwood's mission is to shape citizen leaders, and it is a great joy, honestly, to look out and see all of our graduates bedecked in elegant regalia, ready for what lies ahead, ready to be set loose on the world, which definitely dearly needs you. And it is also a particular joy to welcome those of you who are here this evening to share in the success of our graduates. All of you have played an essential role in the stories of these graduates we celebrate, supporting them, inspiring them, encouraging them, pushing them. A graduation ceremony is one of life's great moments, a rite of passage, and I hope you share in the pride of this occasion. You all, too, are a part of the Longwood family. I also extend a special welcome to our rector, Eric Hansen, and other members of our Board of Visitors and the senior leadership of the university. Graduation is a deeply special moment for us, too, and under the State Health Department's guidance, far fewer university officials and faculty are assembled tonight than would be the abounding number in normal times, but they are here in spirit, those who are not here in body. Now, we have conferred graduate degrees here at Longwood since the 1950s. Longwood had already been in full stride by that point for well more than a century. As is good and proper to note, I'm contractually obligated. Longwood is the third oldest public university in Virginia after William & Mary and UVA, and among the 100 oldest colleges and universities in all of America. Graduate study is an integral part of the fabric of our ancient university, and the future promises a richer and richer tapestry of graduate studies here. A great university thrives with great graduate programs, and graduates, you have indeed helped make us a university in full measure, a diverse community of people with a range of backgrounds and experiences working together in pursuit of education and research, enriching one another's lives. And many of you sitting out there tonight are now joining the elite array of double Lancers. 66 of you, if I counted correctly, assembled today are double Lancers. And all of our graduates today should take particular pride in this fact. Of all American adults, only 12% hold an advanced degree. And only a fraction of that 12% hold an advanced degree from an institution of the academic lineage and standing through the centuries as Longwood. And on that note, if you will indulge just one quick piece of presidential exhortation before we begin our ceremonial steps. With your graduate degree in hand, you truly do constitute an elect few in American life. You are intrinsically leaders others will look up to. This year of global disruption has exposed many fault lines, many troubles. In my opinion, maybe none is more fundamental than the basic problem of weighing what is true. That question, what is truth? T. Estin aletheia in the biblical Greek, has hung over history for millennia. It is a vexing and difficult question because it's tempting to think that truth is always simple and straightforward, self-evident. The siren allure of self-evident truth plagues all points of the political spectrum, left and right, independent or indifferent, all alike. Now, what you know, and as leaders, what you can help others know, is that getting to the facts, to the truth, is often very hard rather than a matter of instant common sense. It takes patience and weighing possible bias, acknowledging the possibility of doubt or indeterminacy, awareness that even numbers, sometimes numbers especially, can obscure rather than illuminate. In the face of tempests on social media or in political narrative, to search out the truth, it takes temperate, honed judgment. The very thing the alma mater, with such pride, has seen mature in you. Use that judgment well, that honed sense for the truth, as you become the leaders our nation and the world so dearly need. We send you forth with such pride, and you will do such great good. So in the presence of family and friends, faculty, officials of the alma maters, graduates, I thank you. I know that you have taken inspiration from our traditions and virtues here, from our common purpose of citizen leadership. Longwood, at its finest, has helped you grow and become even stronger and better in your devotions, and certainly you have done the same for us and for Longwood. So congratulations on all you have accomplished. Savor this moment that can be fixed in memory, this time of pomp and ceremony on this glorious day at the end of this wild year. So let me now, having warbled for a moment, offer just a few programming notes. We will make our approach to this evening's main act of conferring degrees through several important ceremonial steps. First, we will have words of welcome from our rector, Eric Hansen, the head of our board. Then I will introduce our distinguished speaker, Ann Holton, for our commencement address, whom I will extol in full in a moment. Then our deans will make announcements of academic honors and prizes among graduate students, graduate faculty, and then we will come to what is ritually known as the main act, the conferring of degrees. And when we come to the main act tonight, COVID protocols, speaking of it being difficult to know what exactly is true and what exactly we're supposed to do, COVID protocols can be rightly given credit tonight for a sentimental flourish. Assembled family and friends, rather than university officials on the stage, you all will have the warm distinction of performing the hooding for each of your graduates, our graduates, one by one. The hooding being a rite of passage and the bestowal of advanced degrees that dates all the way to the 12th century. And I believe you have instructions within easy reach when the moment comes as to how to perform the act. This truly is a splendid evening. It is splendid and good for my heart to look out and see you all. So let's begin. Mr. Rector, will you please come forward for a word of welcome and wisdom?
Welcome from the Board of Visitors. Graduates, I want to congratulate you all on your accomplishment, and I want to thank your family and friends for being in attendance with you today to celebrate. After the past year, these rich traditions bring a much-needed sense of normalcy to the world. When your year began, there were many reservations about going back to college amidst a threat of a pandemic. I'm proud to say our citizen leaders all rose to the challenge. Administrators put in safety measures to protect stakeholders. The faculty redefined a hybrid learning experience. And our students adapted and persevered through it all. Great commitments often take great sacrifices. The pandemic wreaked havoc on family and state budgets. In response, the Longwood team took university-wide pay cuts to keep college tuition affordable. Our Longwood Nursing School was on the front lines administering vaccine doses. The risks were high, but together you're stronger because of it. The challenges that the Longwood campus faced seemed insurmountable, yet they are not unique. Over a century ago, Dr. Martha Tracy, head of the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania, described the scene. After 1 week of college work, the epidemic, like a specter of death, was upon us almost overnight. And 3 days after the disease hit, our hospital was full and overflowing with patients. Students were released from class and mobilized as a voluntary hospital service. Within a week, our gymnasium had been transformed into a hospital ward where students and nurses were treated who had succumbed and needed care. This was campus life during the 1918 flu outbreak. What will we do with the experience of the pandemic year? Will we despair? Will we be afraid of the future? And will we let this fear define us? A year of pandemics, protests, and politics, how will we respond? Will we be fearful of people unlike ourselves? Will our differences in sex, race, ethnic background, politics, religion drive us to isolate more from each other, living in echo chambers of social media outlets, turning inwardly versus outwardly? If we do this, fear wins, and this experience of the pandemic will be for naught. In a world full of safety measures, let us not forget great achievements require great courage. Face your fear, take a risk. At another time in history, As World War II broke out, a young 19-year-old man faced his fears and enlisted in the 77th Infantry Division as a medic. This man grew up just 30 minutes west of Longwood. He refused to carry a weapon or kill an enemy combatant due to his faith. While serving with his platoon in the Asian islands, he received 2 bronze medals for exceptional valor in aiding over 50 wounded infantrymen atop the area known as Hacksaw Ridge. He was wounded 4 times at the Battle of Okinawa, a fracture in his left arm from a sniper bullet, 17 pieces of shrapnel from a grenade. Last week marked the 76th anniversary of Desmond Doss's heroics. Lynchburg's son, pacifist, war hero. He faced his fear, was passionate about his convictions, and was courageous enough to push past them. It may seem hypocritical in our days surrounded by Purell bottles, hand wipes, and masks to suggest taking more risk. But do not let fear limit your progress and your goals. Recognize what is self-limiting you in your career, in your education, in your relationships, and what limits you mentally, physically, and spiritually. Face your fear, take a risk. Fear can either unite us or divide us. Do we let fear limit us, or do we push through it to face even bigger challenges and see greater successes? Does fear drive us to become the victim, or does it embolden us to face it, conquer it, and achieve even greater things? 6 years after Desmond Doss was awarded the Medal of Honor for valor by President Truman, another young hero, 30 miles down the road from Doss, faced their fear and took a risk. In April 1951, at the age of 15, a young woman led a student strike to protest segregation and equality of education. Our beautiful new dormitory building is named after her, Barbara Rose Johns, and the original schoolhouse, R.R. Moten, sits on the edge of this beautiful campus. Her courage led to the consolidated landmark 1954 Supreme Court case of Brown versus the Board of Education, which changed the entire school system. Everyday people facing their fears, taking a risk, and achieving extraordinary outcomes. Face your fear, take a risk. Thank you.
Let me take our next ceremonial step now. Let me introduce our honorary degree recipient, the Honorable Ann Holton. Our speaker this evening is the epitome of a citizen leader, great friend of Longwood, great champion for the Commonwealth, who has devoted her life and career to expanding educational opportunity for all. And the titles are so many, you don't even rightly know which one to choose. Judge, First Lady, Madam Secretary, Madam President. As a young girl, Anne experienced firsthand the historic battle in Virginia for fairness and equality of opportunity in our schools. Her father, Longwood Holton, was governor from 1970 to 1974. When a court ruling ordered the desegregation of Richmond schools, Anne and her siblings enrolled and helped integrate what had been predominantly black schools, and she went on to graduate from Richmond's Open High School. She then graduated magna cum laude from Princeton and then Harvard Law, where she prepared for the distinguished legal career that would follow, and also met her husband, another great friend of Longwood, our former governor, current U.S. Senator Tim Kaine. Anne's legal career has been rooted in public service, with advocacy for children and families the theme throughout. Her journey includes stints at the Central Virginia Legal Aid Society as a judge in the Richmond Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court, and leading an initiative to help foster children attend Virginia community colleges. In 2014, she was appointed Virginia Secretary of Education, a position she used to powerfully advocate for both teachers and children. In 2019, she began a year of service as interim president of George Mason University, stalwart leader through the tumult of the COVID spring of 2020 that we all know so well. She is currently a professor of education policy at GMU. She's also a member of Virginia's State Board of Education. Ann and Senator Kane live in Richmond, parents of 3 adult children. And an additional honor today is that Ann's longtime colleague of years past and member and officer of our Board of Visitors, Mike Evans, is with us for this evening's ceremony, along with great friend Pietro Gianni. Secretary Holton has been a great friend and source of wisdom to me, myself, over the years, and I cannot think of anyone who has done more and contributed more deeply in such a variety of important ways to improving educational opportunities for all young Virginians. She is, in that regard, an ideal person, the ideal person to offer your last lesson, graduates here at Longwood, final words of wisdom as you prepare to graduate. So before I unleash the podium to Secretary Holton, first let me read the official proclamation welcoming her into our ranks as an honorary degree holder. On behalf of the Board of Visitors and the faculty, staff, and students of Longwood University, it is my great privilege, Madam Secretary, to award you an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters, and I will now read the official resolution. Ann Bright Holton, whose contributions to the Commonwealth and its citizens, rooted in a lifelong dedication to accessibility of education and opportunity for all, have inspired and enriched countless lives, is conferred the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, and is, by the authority vested in the Board of Visitors and on behalf of the faculty, hereby awarded that degree with all rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto appertaining, given at Longwood University in Virginia this 14th day of May, 2021, in the 182nd year of the university. Madam Secretary, come lay a word on us.
Wow, you all look beautiful. What a treat to be with you today. President Reevely, Longwood Board, faculty, thank you for your warm welcome. I have a long and strong affection for this university and am thrilled to accept this honorary doctorate today. What a joy, yes, as President Reevely said, to see you all here sitting with your families. I love it in this beautiful setting on this gorgeous, gorgeous day in this very special place. It is a treat to be with you to celebrate your accomplishments and to wish you well as you begin your next adventures with your invaluable Longwood degrees in hand. It has been an extraordinary time for us all, and I thought I would use the occasion today to reflect a bit on some lessons learned during my recent surprise experience as serving as interim president of a much younger sister institution, George Mason University. We have all had some unexpected experiences lately, and likely more to come, so maybe these thoughts will strike a chord. In mid-June of 2019, I received a call out of the blue from Tom Davis, rector of the board at Mason, where I was then teaching half-time in education policy. Our president had recently accepted a job leading Georgia Tech and would be leaving on short notice. Might I consider serving as interim president during the year-long search? Well, it's an understatement to say it had not been on my radar. I had loved my prior leadership roles, including most recently as Virginia's Secretary of Education, but I was then happily enjoying teaching for the first time in my career and also enjoying a little bit lower key schedule. Despite my surprise, I quickly said yes. That institution, like this one, like Longwood, serves many first-generation college students, diverse students in every respect, and gets them across the finish line to graduation and successful futures. This was another chance to advance the goals of equity and social mobility that I had pursued my whole life. And this was not the first time someone else saw something in me that I had not seen in myself. When Governor McAuliffe recruited me for his cabinet, I first tried to steer him to other candidates. A mere 2 weeks after that call from Rector Davis, I had gone from part-time faculty to being announced as the first woman president of Virginia's most diverse and largest 38,000 students strong university. I immediately got to work, jumping in to contact key state leaders with whom we were then engaged in intense conversations about the state's commitment to Amazon as part of the HQ2 deal to increase Virginia's tech talent pool. We had been named as a partner university, but devilish and all-important details were still up for grabs. I knew nothing of the specifics, but I had long-standing relationships of trust with key decision makers in Richmond, so I started making calls the very afternoon I was named. On those first calls, I got away with the "I'm new here, but how can I help" approach. I then rushed in to meet my new leadership team and to admit my ignorance and to seek their tutelage. Some might have questioned that approach. As a newcomer to the world, maybe I should have tried to impress them with what I brought to the table. But you know what? They responded favorably to my humility. They shared that the university was already the largest producer of tech talent in Virginia and had viable plans to double and triple graduates in key fields. Together, we tweaked the messaging and went off to sell our plans, ultimately successfully to the Commonwealth. From that first afternoon forward, for the next 12 months, as my family can attest, I was immersed 24/7 in all things green and gold. Sometimes my schedule was even busier than a United States senator's. And I loved every minute of it, even when the pandemic and other challenges arrived to complicate the final few months. So, 2 lessons learned already. 1, be open, on the alert even, to the unexpected. There's an old saying John Lennon once paraphrased in a song: "Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans." That doesn't mean don't make plans or preparations. They may come in handy even in unexpected, unintended ways. But don't let them stand in the way of your next great adventure. Interesting opportunities may arise, professional, avocational, personal, and more likely will if you are alert for them. Lesson number 2, especially when you're jumping into something new, but really always, don't go it alone. Colleagues generally respond well, I find, when we acknowledge our shortcomings, ask for their help, and then genuinely appreciate what they can offer. I long ago realized that that is a lot easier than pretending I know everything or otherwise trying to do everything myself. Less stressful and more fun. That approach had helped me build relationships over time that served me well in this new gig, and in turn, my university colleagues and I will now, having been through this crazy year together, have each other's backs forever. Likewise, my peers at other Virginia colleges became indispensable sources of advice in partnership, including your generous and wise President Reevely. My assignment for my leadership year was clear, and I quote, to support a smooth presidential transition by keeping momentum on key university initiatives such as the Amazon HQ deal while maintaining campus morale and cohesion. So go slow, essentially, was the message. My board and I understood that as an interim president, I was not expected to make big changes or turn the university topsy-turvy. I took this to heart. I adopted a collaborative leadership style with all our stakeholders, faculty, students, alums, community partners, as well as my administrative team. They would all be in their roles long after my year ended, so this made extra sense in addition to being my natural approach. I met with groups all over campus, a lot. I listened a lot. I forged consensus when I could. I moved key initiatives along as possible. By the end of February of 2020, we had hired a great new president who would take over the helm on July 1st and had just finished several major efforts, including hiring an interim provost and navigating an important General Assembly session. I was looking forward to a quieter final 4 months when I could go to more sports and arts events, engage with students and faculty, and help plan for a smooth transition. And then, the challenges that disrupted all of our campuses and world crashed down upon us, both the pandemic and the calls for racial justice after the brutal death of George Floyd and others. In the circumstances, I found myself called upon repeatedly to act decisively and boldly. I continued my collaborative style when possible, holding daily emergency management meetings, regularly consulting with my board, public health professionals, and others, but time and again, I had to make decisions and act quickly and fundamentally on my own. I decided to close the university and convert to fully online as I sat on a park bench outside the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. I was there naively expecting to spend the week cheering on my basketball team at the A10 tournament. I like to say we were undefeated because we played in the only game and won it. I had just finished a call on that park bench with public health professionals who told me, this was mid-March last year, there wasn't clear evidence of a community transmission yet, so no need to close. At the time, no other Virginia college and very few elsewhere had taken such dramatic steps, though we were all struggling with the same questions. With hindsight, we all got to the same place, but at the time it felt momentous, and it was. And remember, I was under instructions to do nothing topsy-turvy. I could have stalled, but our students were home on spring break, and our faculty needed every second to prepare for online teaching. Timing was key, and so I made the call. I proceeded to make similarly momentous feeling decisions every day, sometimes every hour, for the next few months. Going to pass-fail, closing mostly our dorms and dining halls, shutting down buildings, leading my board to pass a controversial but much-needed tuition increase to address faculty pay disparities, deciding to reopen in hybrid fashion in the fall, announcing bold action to advance racial justice on campus, and on and on. All the while, I stayed focused on our students, many of whom, like you, had lost jobs, homes, and even loved ones. They were struggling to find laptops and Wi-Fi. Their college experiences were being turned upside down in the middle of one of the most impactful chapters in their lives. I had lots of counterparts, again, including your leadership here at Longwood, and partners, including, thankfully, my successor, President Washington, who became my constant Zoom companion. But fundamentally, the buck on many things did stop with me. My colleagues who have known me for a long time and remember my juvenile court judge days sometimes say, uh-oh, here comes Judge Ann. And I did indeed draw on that experience. In court, I daily had to make multiple split-second decisions with big consequences for the parties before me. Literally, who goes to jail? Who goes free? Who gets custody? Who pays what? The responsibility was heavy, but I understood that someone had to do it. I might not always be right, but I summoned up the courage to make those decisions, hope and pray I was close enough to right, and then move on to the next case. So, my third leadership lesson from the year, have courage. Be ready to act when needed. Do your best and trust the system and the good Lord or whatever higher power you turn to take it from there. So those are some things I learned from my leadership year. You may never find yourself in those circumstances exactly, but we will all be, indeed we all have been, called upon to address the unexpected. We will all have opportunities to lean on others, and we will all face moments that require us to have the courage to act boldly. Many of you are or will be working in education, and I have a special place in my heart for you. You will certainly face huge needs with never enough resources, and you will make a difference, especially in the lives of some of our neediest young people. In closing, I wish for you all the fun and excitement of new adventures as you enter into your next roles in education, business, and other fields with the great tools you have acquired here in your extraordinary time together at Longwood. I know you will make your alma mater proud. Go Lancers!
Thank you, Anne. That was magnificent, magnificent. And we all owe a real debt of gratitude to Anne. She was genuinely right at the heart of making the Commonwealth keep ticking, and that terrible spring that we have all got certainly very fixed in our brains. Thank you, Anne, and it's a great honor to have you with us today for this great occasion. And we are rounding the corner towards the main event. Be of good cheer as our deans come forward to recognize and announce the winners of our various faculty and student awards. Dean Tim O'Keefe of our College of Business and Economics, and then Dean Lissa Power Defer of our College of Education and Human Services, and as befits our COVID moment, award winners, when you hear your name intoned, rise where you are, but no need to come forward from there. But we will applaud vigorously when we hear your name intoned. Dean O'Keefe.
Thank you, President Reevely. In your program are listed the names and the criteria for each award. And today we want to take a moment to publicly acknowledge our distinguished faculty and student award winners. The winner of the Graduate and Faculty Research Award is Dr. Aaron S. Wallace, Assistant Professor of Communication Sciences and Disorders. And the recipient of the Graduate Faculty Teaching and Mentoring Award is Dr. Sarah L. Tanner Anderson, Program Director for Educational Leadership. Dr. Wallace, Dr. Tanner Anderson, please stand as we show you our appreciation for your dedicated service.
We will now announce our Student Award recipients. As your name is read, please stand and remain standing until all the winners have been announced. The Longwood Graduate Student Award winner is Lindsay Belt from Reading, Literacy, and Learning. The Lancer Graduate Student Award winner is Leah Fisher Janos from School Librarianship. The Graduate Leadership Award goes to Marin J. Tettelbach, Counselor Education. And the recipient of the Graduate Alumni Award is Daniel B. Sisson-Jones from the class of 2019 in the area of Reading, Literacy, and Learning. Congratulations, Lancer. We are so proud of you and your accomplishments and wish you great success in all your future endeavors.
Congratulations again, award winners. I sense a state of spiritual preparation as the main event draws nigh. Will Rector Hansen please come forward to authorize the conferral of degrees?
President Reevely, on behalf of the Board of Visitors, it's our privilege to authorize you to award the degrees for our graduates.
And now assisting me in conferring degrees will be our Provost, Dr. Larissa Smith. Dr. Smith, Madam Provost.
Thank you, sir. Will the candidates for master's degree in the College of Business and Economics and the College of Education and Human Services please rise? President Reevely, on the recommendation of the faculty in the College of Business and Economics and the College of Education and Human Services, I present to you these candidates who have fulfilled all the prescribed conditions for their master's degree.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Visitors and on the recommendation of the faculty of Longwood University, I hereby confer upon you your master's degrees with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations and welcome to the devoted ranks of Longwood's graduate alumni. A big cheer. And you all really do look glorious out there. Okay, quick programming notes. First, you can be seated. As we progress, boisterous applause, lots of noise, very welcome the whole way through. Don't need to be shy. And now, Madam Provost, I will turn it back over to you.
And now to the main event, the hooding ceremony. Graduates, your faculty program director will read your names. As your name is announced, you and your guests will stand and place the hood over your head. Then you and your guests may be seated. Also thunderous applause. And for those of you watching from home, we will call your name so you can receive your hood as well with your family at home. Please hold your applause until the last graduate in each program has been hooded so we can hear everyone's names. Dr. David Lair will now come forward and announce the names for the Master of Business Administration.
The following candidates in the College of Business and Economics will receive the degree of Master of Business Administration, General Business Track. Blake Thomas Atkins. Karina Sylvia Bethea. Nathan Esteep Lawrence. Tiffany Dominique Franklin. Leslie McPhail Garrett. Claudia Hennig. Lynette Patrice Jones. Rebecca Kistler. Lori Ann Leda. Patricia Ann Mays. Akabel Wilson Meason. Morgan Elizabeth Perulis. Jesse Carol Plitchett Keller. Teodora Giorvesca. Tiffany Michelle Riddick. Tatiana Monet Roberson. Jessica Lee Sanfilippo. Samuel Setter. Lacey Thompson. Shaniqua Roseanne Windleton. The following candidate in the College of Business and Economics will receive the degree of Master of Business Administration, Real Estate Track. Stephen Francis Brager. Dr. Angelica Blanchette will now come forward and announce the names for the Master of Education in Reading, Literacy, and Learning.
The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Education in Reading, Literacy, and Learning. Lindsay Marissa Adams. Susan Lynn Anderson. Lindsay Morgan Belt. Kelsey Carol Bobbitt. Jennifer Ann Bracken. Catherine Ann Brandon. Abigail Bacarsi de Guzman. Nicole Beverly Drumgool. Belicia Arn Snyder Easley. Treva Edwards Gordon. Kristen Lorraine Gilbranson. Sydney Marie Haig. Bethany Gabrielle Hardy. Danielle Marie Harlow. Brooke Taylor Harris. Amanda Straley Holly. Rachel Ann Hoyt. Sherry Hunter. Catherine Elizabeth Leary. Caitlin Ashley Long. Vanessa Waylon Mason. Shalise Amaria Meadows. Lashina Raglan Medley. Jennifer Aylward Meharg. Lindsay Ann Moody. Colleen Marie Moore. Tiffany Hope Moorfield. Sarah Paige Morris. Olivia Ray Murray. Casey Lynn Reiser. Mashonda Dismuke Richardson. Christina Ray Robinette. Lane Ryan Seward. Abigail Rose Souter. Holly Haskins Stout. Brittany Nicole Thompson. Jenna Nicole Webler. Shelby Lynn Wells. Amanda Louise Wright. Carly Ray Wyatt. And now Dr. Carla Collins will come forward to confer the degrees for school librarianship.
The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Education in School Librarianship, initial licensure track. Karen Grubb Bolin. Jessica Staples Butler. Emily Catherine Castle. Cassidy Jane Haight. Sarah Lynn Banker Knapp. The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Education in School Librarianship, licensed teacher track. Jacqueline Dawn Bush. Sarah Caitlin Page Kaufman. Sarah Page Kindler. Georgia Kostelecki. Lauren Elizabeth Manbeck. Laura Lee Matthews. April Heather Young. Congratulations, graduates. Dr. Allison King will now come forward and announce the names for the Master of Science in Communication Sciences and Disorders.
The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Communication Sciences and Disorders. Mackenzie Beth Barnes. Summer Nicole Chenault. Natalie Dean. Courtney Diane Landis. Jennifer Ann Leckie. Elizabeth Llewellyn. Hannah Milliken. Mason Lee Moorfeld. Elizabeth Redford Ostrander. Dallas Morgan Phelps. Abby Lynn Preston. Hannah Elise Schenkelberg. Lauren Nicole Schlemmer. Sarah Elizabeth Smith. Lexi Stenback. Courtney Lynn Sullivan. Morgan Lindsay Sullivan. Tana Nicole Turner. Elizabeth Crosley Wagner. Lucy Grace Wallace. Kristen Elizabeth Wilcox. Timothy Hal Worthen. Congratulations, graduates. Dr. Jennifer Apperson will now come forward and announce the names for the Master of Science in Counselor Education and Master of Science in Education, Counselor Education.
The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Counselor Education, College Counseling and Student Affairs track. Haley Nicole Tucker. Kirsten Elizabeth Waxman. The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Counselor Education, Mental Health Counseling track. Ebony Chenille Brogdon. Mackenzie Shornack Limeberger. Happy birthday, Mackenzie. Diamond Nicole Ray. The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Counselor Education, School Counseling track. Mackenzie Marianne Hartless. Madison Paige Rousey. Destiny Sprague. Marin Jane Tettelbach. The following candidate in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Education, Counselor Education, Mental Health Counseling track. Patrick Pippin McAdams. Congratulations, graduates. Dr. Sarah Tanner Anderson will now come forward and announce the names of the Master of Science in Education, Educational Leadership.
Oh, hey there, Lancer leaders. The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Education, Educational Leadership Concentration. Marcella Virginia Armstrong. Amy Avery Barnes. Ricky Lynn Hannah Cundiff. Jennifer Lee Ferguson. Melissa Danielle Gunter. Charlotte Hall. Sarah Fenton Hammonds. Karen Ann Hughes. Sarah Keller Hughes. Caitlin Leanne Jamrosi Hamby. Emily Larkin McMillan. Angela Diane Minjavar. Kevin Andrew Napier. Jennifer Lynn Peters. Mary Nicole Poor. Corey Widowson Prophet. Carrie Letitia Perrier Wilson. Robert Joseph Rice. Hannah Mackenzie Sacra. Michelle Annette Stoll. Kimberly Adams Van Acker. Congratulations, graduates. Dr. Maria Timmerman will now come forward and announce the names for the Master of Science in Education, Elementary and Middle School Mathematics.
The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Education, Elementary and Middle School Mathematics concentration. We love our mathematicians. Allison Danielle Allgood. Kendra Day Amos. Sarah Christine Badgett. Ellen Marie Burgess. Ashley Ray Carneal. Catherine Imogene Cava. Jennifer Hendricks Doss. Ashley Nicole Dreschish. I think I did that. Kayshawn Sierra Holman. Gretchen Nicole Lee. Julie Mitchell Peck. Congratulations, graduates. Dr. Kat Elvis will come forward and announce the names for the Master of Science in Education, Special Education General Curriculum. Thank you.
Right. Last but certainly not least, the following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Education, Special Education General Curriculum Concentration, 5th year track. Taylor Renee Bauer. Morgan Ray Bentham Schweier. Brittany Alexandra Brown. Haley Lynn Joseph. Emily Teresa Krotzer. Catherine Grace Lucas. Sheree Yvonne McCrae. Colleen Hope O'Connor. Madison Danielle Randall. Cameron Kelly Rubin. Courtney Taylor Stewart. Kendall Harlan Stuckey. The following candidates in the College of Education and Human Services will receive the degree of Master of Science in Education, Special Education, General Curriculum Concentration, Licensed Teacher Track. Morgan Renee Garrison. Maria Catherine Geruso. Kelsey Cheyenne Hostetter. Laura Irene Johnson. Julie Ann McNew. Madison Rose Schmitz. Harley Alexandra Scott. Violet Alexandra Willis. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Christopher Swanson to the stage to read his daughter's name.
And Ellie Catherine Swanson.
And that is the class of 21. All right, so first, I think we need a big round of applause for our photography team. It's an Olympic feat. Graduates, I think we also need you all to all stand so we can give you a very boisterous round of applause all together. Madam Provost, you have a few closing thoughts for us.
Thank you. You all really do look beautiful out there. It was really just fantastic to watch as you all were hooded by your family members and friends. Graduates, the advanced degree which you have received today carries the benefits of professional success and advancement, along with the responsibilities of leadership and service in your careers and professional lives. As a Longwood graduate, you will carry the qualities of integrity, respect, scholarship, perseverance, and honesty out to the schools and universities, clinics and hospitals, businesses and government agencies for whom you work or will work. We also know you will carry forth the mission of Longwood to be citizen leaders in your professional lives and in your communities, and to do great good. We are proud of your accomplishments and wish you all the success and happiness in all your future endeavors. The people sitting next to you are also proud of your accomplishments, and no doubt they have played a vital role in your success. For those of you who are already in the workforce, and I know this from experience, you end up working on the nights and on the weekends whenever you can. And those sitting next to you are often the ones who pick up additional responsibilities and make sure things are taken care of so that you can finish your degree. And so I want to take this opportunity for you and all of us up here to applaud those sitting next to you for their abiding support in all of your success. And now, some stage directions for our closing. Following the alma mater and the retiring of the colors, the president, platform party members, and faculty will recess off the lawn. Graduates and guests, please remain at your seats. After the recessional, graduates may come up on the stage to have their photo taken by the professional photographer, and this time they'll be able to stay in one place. So we can maintain required physical distancing, we ask that you remain in your seat and a staff member will direct you across the stage one at a time. If you prefer not to have your photo taken, thank you for maintaining proper distancing as you depart. And this really was a magical night. I have to say, I've been talking all year about the silver lining from the pandemic. I say hashtag silver lining pandemic. And I have to say, having you all have your hoods awarded by guests might just be something we might have to do in the future. So with that, I now invite Zachary Fortune, class of 2021, to lead us in the singing of the alma mater. Please stand for, if you can, and remain standing for the retiring of the colors and the recessional.
Faithful and devoted be thy sons and daughters forever. Hail to thee, dear alma mater, hail to thee, all hail. Onward ever, Longwood, proud and true eternally, thy love will always guide and protect and keep them faithful to thee. Thy love will always guide and protect and keep them faithful to thee.
You may retire the colors. Let me close with these words in the traditional way a Longwood graduation closes. Inscribed on this medallion, this chain of office, are words written almost 600 years ago about Joan of Arc, our patron hero, just as pertinent to the citizen leaders about to go forward today. Who, in the moment of victory, remains inaccessible to vanity and hate? Who, in the midst of popular enthusiasm, lives in humility and prayer? Who, in the universal crush of ambition, covets neither profit nor honors? Go and do great good, Lancers. Godspeed. He will be on the heart of the alma mater always. Dr. Apperson, please retrieve the mace and begin the recessional.